This new self-titled album from Rivers of Nihil isn't a continuation of their style and craft, it's a recalibration. Gone is the sprawling, divisive progginess of the work. This is leaner, sharper, and far less grandiose, but it's not without a very distinctive blueprint of its own. It is kind of like watching a band reassemble their machinery with a kind of deterministic optimism, though, figuring out how to run the engine whilst it's still on fire. Guys, gals, and non-binary pals, my name is Ian, this is Rhyme Signatures, and we are once again opening the lid on the best new releases in prog, rock, and metal. Like so many people, I got into Rivers of Nihil back in 2018 with their astonishingly good third album of Where Owls Know My Name. It had everything I could have wanted from prog-adjacent tech death metal and more besides. It didn't fall into the trap that so many tech death bands do. It still had heart and passion behind the complexities of its musical exterior, and it quickly became a favourite album of 2018 for me. It was in 2021, though, when the band followed up with The Work that a lot of fans of the band raised a quizzical eyebrow and politely inquired, "What the fuck are you doing?" The band has gone a lot more experimental with their sounds, brought in some of the weirder and more wonderful elements from the prog metal world, and it stood out at right angles to their previous offerings for most fans. Now, I'm going to unashamedly stand up here and speak my mind. I think The Work is a more enjoyable record than Owls. Better? No, but I listen to The Work a heck of a lot more, and I will not sit here and allow slander of it. In Rhyme Signatures HQ, we stand The Work, and I personally would not have been in the slightest bit mad if things had carried on this way. But as most people know, the band in the wake of The Work suffered from some, shall we say, setbacks. The odds were stacked against this record. Original frontman Jake Diefenbach was removed, leaving bassist Andy Biggs to fill the vocal slot, a task daunting enough without still having to keep the low end anchored. Add in the departure of rhythm guitarist John Topore, replaced by Andy Thomas of Black Crown Initiate, who brings some stellar clean vocals into the mix, mind you, and you've got a ship missing two of its strongest sails. And yet, somehow, this self-titled album holds steady and brings us back on track while simultaneously scanning the horizon for their next heading. Okay, I'll be real with you. The first few listens of this album, I wasn't too sure about it, but I'll call it now. This one is a grower, a shaper, a transitional record that doesn't aim for conceptual overload or genre-twisting acrobatics. It trades that all in for rawer instincts and tighter songwriting. Yeah, there's still some prog DNA in there, of course. This is still Rivers of Nihil, after all. But here, it's not dressed up in ornate architecture. Instead, it sort of pulses under the skin. It's kind of like muscle memory. The first half of this record is explosive. Dustmen and Criminals are full of deconstructive savagery with some suitably frenetic drumming and memorable hooks that really do guide them forwards. Despair Church then comes in like it's dragging a monolithic burden behind it. It's slow and methodical with that blackened tech death flavour that made Owls soar. And then, bam, it hits with this dizzying and confident swagger out of nowhere. The riffs feel tactile, like something you could grip with both hands. It's the kind of song that's best listened to at unsafe volumes. The final minute or so, with how it flirts with progressive ideas and structures and how it then segues into the preceding track of Water and Time, is amongst my favourite moments on the whole album. And it's this subsequent two-hit combo of Water and Time and House of Light that serves as one of the most affecting parts of the record. It manages to faultlessly blend the parts of the work that worked with the unapologetic face melting that made the band so beloved on albums like Owls and Monarchy. The clean vocals here are like light peeking through an industrial fog, lifting the whole section of the album from bleakness into beauty. House of Light was such a good choice for the lead single, with some killer grooves, crushing growls, and infectious clean vocal melodies, and as soon as that saxophone hits, you know that the band is gonna be cooking. Now, I know that sax isn't a thing for everyone within the metal landscape, but I can't think of a band who implements it better into their DNA than Rivers of Nihil do. It's never overbearing, it never really carries the songs that it appears on. It's tasteful and restrained, and it adds a great spice and flavour wherever it floats in between the stabbing riffs and machine gun drumming. But how does this self-titled album differ from what came before? Now, it's still heavy, it's still intricate, but this feels more, for lack of a better word, primal. It's the shortest Nihil album since Monarchy, and as I've already alluded to, they've dialed back on the overt progginess from the work, and in doing so, allowed space for a more focused impact. Like, one of my favourite little moments on the entire album, it's such a small thing, but I really want to talk about it briefly. There's this savage little vocal trill from Adam Biggs at around 30 seconds into Evidence that made me hoot out loud with just how fucking cool it sounded. And honestly, it makes me grin like an idiot every single time I hear it. And I think that's what this album really has going for it. It feels cool to listen to. It feels impactful and confident, like the band are acknowledging the difficulties they've faced in their lineup changes and losses since the work, as it would have been all too easy for them to just throw in the towel, call it quits, but they have picked themselves back up, reassessed their resources, and come back into the fight swinging. Now, they've not landed a perfect haymaker, even if it has left me suitably dizzied. So let's talk a little bit about what didn't switch my buttons here. So, for as solid as the album's momentum is for the first 6 or 7 songs, I do feel that the wheels start to come off the tracks a little bit when we get to American Death. First off, let's discuss the chorus. It's basically a pretty shameless knockoff of Mushroomhead's Eternal from the 2003 album 13. Don't believe me? Go and listen to it. It's the same melody and the same lyrics, for crying out loud. It just feels bitter on the palate if you're familiar with both songs. I'm also not a huge fan of the "who's right, what's left, American Death" line, but this is a music review channel, not a political commentary one, so we're gonna put that back in its box before it gets out of control. All that aside, though, it's just quite a safe song, lacking the kind of grit and passion that I've come to expect from Rivers of Nihil. It just comes across as a song that would be, I don't know, better suited on any other project rather than this one. And the final furlong, well, I don't know, it's not quite a nosedive, but it definitely coasts more than it soars. The logical end and the self-titled closer feel like they're trying to find momentum that never quite materializes. I mean, there's nothing terrible here. In fact, some parts are genuinely great. I mean, the saxophone in the logical end is my favourite sax on the album. It's just these tracks don't linger in the mind as much as the others do. It feels like they're waiting for a chorus or a riff that never comes, and after such a propulsive start, it's a bit of a noticeable stall. Okay, so let's just address the elephant in the room briefly, okay? Most reviewers are keeping quiet about this, and yes, I'm fully aware that less than around a minute ago I said I wasn't a political commentary channel, so I'll thank you not for pointing that out. Part of me really didn't want to talk about this element, but I feel as an LGBTQIA+ voice in the heavy metal community, I am almost duty-bound to weigh in here. There is a certain lingering discomfort of context, particularly around Adam Biggs and the complications about his previous Twitter activity. Now, I'm not going to get too much into it. Do your own research if you're interested, and please do draw your own conclusions. Now, the concerns I have are thankfully not overtly present in the music, but it can be hard to completely separate the art from the artist, especially when the lyrical content occasionally gestures towards certain social commentary. It creates an uneasy dissonance for me, despite Adam's apparently sincere apology towards the groups and minorities who were impacted by his previous associations. Now look, it's not a deal breaker. I am able to look past these things to a certain degree, but it is definitely a wrinkle all the same. Adam, if you are by any chance watching this, please do help me to have faith in your words and to truly believe in your sincerity. So, what else can I possibly say about Rivers of Nihil's self-titled 5th album? Ultimately, despite some reservations with the back half of the record and some of the lyrical moments, Rivers of Nihil is a roaring success. Not because it's perfect, but because it proves this band can weather storms. They've dialed back the complexity, re-embraced immediacy, and found a new balance. It's a tighter, meaner, more efficient version of themselves. Okay, so maybe we've lost some of the maximalist charm in the process, but they gained resilience, focus, and direction. Where Owls Know My Name may still be their masterpiece, the crown jewel and centerpiece of their Thanksgiving meal, but Rivers of Nihil is the comeback album, the realignment, a bruised heart still beating, ready to strike out again. So in spite of the difficulties that they've faced since the work came out 4 years ago, they're still here, still shifting, still searching, and for a band who's walked through the fire and come out with their core intact, that's more than enough to keep me listening. I was teetering and tottering on my recommendation on this one, and while I've personally forked out for the vinyl as it's got one of the best album arts of the year, my vibe on this one is ultimately for a digital copy, but it was touch and go between that and a physical purchase recommendation, I'm going to be honest with you. Rivers of Nihil may have lost a part of themselves recently, but it's made them toughen up and reevaluate their future. I expect great things from this 4-piece on album 6, and I will be awaiting it with bated breath. This is all, of course, guys, just my opinion, so if you loved this one, if you hated this one, please talk to me about your experience with the album in the comments down below. Please do drop me a thumbs up if you liked the video. Please do tell your friends about little old me. Please do consider clicking the link below to buy a t-shirt to help support the channel. It'd be really appreciated. And of course, as always, please do throw me a subscription if you've been enjoying my content so far. But until next time, guys, as always, keep your rhyme signatures pretty odd.